Here in the still hours, just after 4 a.m. in Washington, D.C., I find myself wide awake and compelled to share my unfiltered thoughts on Continental Briefing about everything that transpired at the White House Correspondents Dinner. Before I delve any deeper into the evening itself, however, we must confront the way President Trump has chosen to interpret the disturbing shooting that erupted earlier tonight. After carefully reviewing every aspect of the conditions on the ground, one reality becomes painfully obvious. The location was far from adequately protected. It is. Though I hesitated to highlight it, this incident only reinforces the urgent case for the comprehensive upgrades we are pursuing at the White House itself. The new facility will provide substantially greater space along with cutting-edge safeguards, including defenses against drones and layers of impenetrable bulletproof shielding. That ballroom is not optional. It is what the Secret Service and military leaders have been insisting upon for generations. Officials have eyed a dedicated ballroom at the executive residence for more than a century and a half, driven by a host of practical and symbolic reasons. Yet the threats we face today have pushed those security requirements into territory few could have imagined before. What unfolded was simply another devastating chapter in America's long saga of gun violence, and yet the president immediately reframed the horror as fresh justification for pouring hundreds of millions into his signature ballroom project. In other words, out of this tragedy, a clear beneficiary has emerged, Trump's own cherished personal initiative. At this point, I should feel shocked by such opportunism, but the pattern has become so predictable that mostly I just feel exhausted watching a leader so consumed by self-regard that he extracts the most self-serving conclusion from virtually every crisis. Predictably, once Trump sets the tone, his devoted followers rush to echo and amplify it. Outlets like Libs of TikTok immediately declared that the attack proves beyond doubt why Trump's ballroom must move forward. Meghan McCain stated she no longer wants to hear a single word of criticism directed at the new White House ballroom, while End Wokeness and Republican Congressman Randy Fine joined the chorus, insisting that complaints about the project should now cease forever. Yet these reactions miss the fundamental point. The two issues have nothing whatsoever to do with each other. The mere fact that a disturbed individual attempted a shooting at a public event does not magically create a need for a ballroom inside the White House. Even if such a facility already existed, the Correspondents' Dinner has been hosted at the Hilton for decades and would have remained there regardless. Simply possessing a secure ballroom on the grounds does not mean the president will be confined to the White House for the rest of his term. Major gatherings routinely occur at external venues, even when perfect security options are available elsewhere. Unless the underlying objective is to isolate the nation's leader permanently behind fortified walls, the entire argument collapses under scrutiny. Beyond that, let us be honest. A lavish ballroom offers zero meaningful answer to the epidemic of gun violence ravaging communities across the country. I understand why Trump fixates on it. His focus always circles back to himself, but everyday Americans endure shootings in schools, concert halls, houses of worship, shopping centers, and countless other ordinary places. No comparable luxury fallback exists for them. Successive Republican leaders have responded with little more than thoughts and prayers before the cycle repeats the very next day and the day after that. The party as a whole has shown no genuine commitment to confronting this plague. A ballroom, therefore, is no cure. It amounts to a superficial patch reserved exclusively for the privileged few, while the broader public is left exposed and forgotten. Time and again, the powerful, secure, bespoke protections, while everyone else contends with the same broken system. That brings us to the security realities of the night. Although I did not attend the Correspondents' Dinner proper, I was present at another gathering inside the very same building. The access point for the dinner differed from my own event, yet I managed to enter the hotel lobby simply by presenting a QR code for a completely separate function. Once inside, I quickly realized my mistake and exited, circling around to the correct side of the complex. Still, the fact remains that street-level checks proved surprisingly permissive, allowing accidental entry into the Hilton's main lobby, the same area that ultimately connects toward the ballroom where the shooter was intercepted. Thankfully, the assailant never reached the main event space. Even so, the relative ease with which I navigated initial screening raises legitimate questions about preparedness, especially considering the Hilton operates as a fully active hotel where registered guests enjoy routine lobby access. Public venues like this will always carry inherent variables and vulnerabilities. Was the situation uncomfortably close to disaster? Absolutely. But did the Secret Service fulfill its critical role by neutralizing the threat at the outermost perimeter? Yes, it did. All of this paints a profoundly disheartening portrait of where our country stands today. It is disheartening that such violence no longer shocks us. It is disheartening that every new incident gets twisted into political ammunition rather than prompting genuine soul-searching. It is disheartening that a president's foremost priority appears to be an opulent ballroom while millions of citizens grapple with skyrocketing healthcare costs that have doubled or become outright unaffordable for 25 million people, while 17 million more risk losing Medicaid coverage, and while countless families watch food assistance programs vanish. When basic affordability slips further out of reach for hundreds of millions, the very idea that we are debating a multi-million-dollar ballroom feels grotesquely disconnected from reality. Consider the footage circulating from the scene where chants of USA suddenly erupted. According to Puck News reporter Peter Hamby, the person who ignited that cheer was none other than Trump advisor Dan Scavino. What exactly was the purpose here, celebrating national pride in the immediate aftermath of gunfire? The only reason such a chant feels appropriate to anyone is because gun violence has become so routine in this country that it almost registers as a twisted point of national distinction. This is not Olympic glory or athletic triumph. It is a national embarrassment. Our gun laws embarrass us. Our chronic underfunding of mental health services embarrasses us. Our growing tolerance for political violence, whether from the left, the right, or anywhere in between, embarrasses us on the global stage. Neither the attempted attack on Charlie Kirk nor the events of January 6th were acceptable, and neither is this. Americans across the spectrum are exhausted by the endless spectacle, worn out by leaders who seem content to preserve a dysfunctional status quo that enriches a narrow elite while leaving most families sicker, poorer, hungrier, and more vulnerable than ever. On Continental Briefing, I genuinely wish these were not the conversations we were forced to have. I wish political violence had never become normalized. I wish our lawmakers treated every shooting with the gravity it deserves instead of offering empty platitudes. I wish each fresh tragedy finally awakened a collective recognition that something is profoundly broken in our society and demands courageous, comprehensive solutions. Yet here we remain, cycling through the same grim script. In the final analysis, this episode lays bare the uncomfortable truths about our fractured republic. When elite comforts eclipse the everyday struggles of ordinary citizens, and when tragedy becomes just another talking point, we are left to wonder how much longer America can afford to delay the hard reckoning it so desperately needs. The mirror is before us. What reflection will we choose to confront